Hey, welcome back to Technical Writer Uncensored. I am here with content designer Kelly Murphy, who's going to talk to us about gems, which may or may not be truly outrageous. And if you understood that reference, be sure to schedule your colonoscopy. Hopefully, I did not break Kelly.
Maybe just a little bit, because I got all of that. Um, and yes, you should schedule your colonoscopy and your breast exam. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Men
the mom
too.
thing.
Men too.
Yes, very much so. Um, Hi.
Hi.
So gems have been something I have been playing with. I was
Context. Gemini gems, not
yes,
rock gems.
yes. I mean, regular gems are fun too.
They
Um,
are, but
but
not
they
not going to be useful in this context.
Right. So I would say I was a slow to adopt AI person. Um, in fact, it was kind of out of desperation to try to survive a workload that I couldn't handle as a single person. So one of the ways that I managed that workload was I created um, a Gemini Gem for discrete writing tasks that weren't my main responsibility, but I was still responsible for. So it was a way to kind of like offload the majority bandwidth that it required of me to do these things by hand. And it also gave me, because in the workspace setup of Gemini, you can actually share gems within a workspace. So somebody like me, who is a pretty decent writer, can create a tool that non-writers can use and it can help them. And it's imbued with all the magical knowledge of what I know. Um, yeah. So it's
But not
still
your
not perfect.
personality.
Yes, yes. And it's far from perfect. AI is problematic. Hopefully we'll have time to talk about that at some point. I may just have to do it out of rebellion once the problem gets strong enough. But for today, we're going to talk about like what is a gem? How do you build one? How do you make one that is useful? Um, so in previous workplaces, I've done them for like writing emails that need to sound consistent across an organization of people who are all writing emails, but we're doing them very differently. So it applies basically uh, standard consistency, standard voice. It checked for terminology, it checked for format, the way that links were included, all sorts of stuff, just to make it look like it actually came from the company it came from. Because being fished is real. You want it to sound like it came from you. And then the other thing that I used it for that I was really excited about was actually accelerating our user research because our team didn't have the personnel count to be able to have a dedicated researcher. So everybody was kind of doing a little research. And when everybody does a little bit of research, everybody kind of does it a little badly. So I created this gem that was able to help people spin up a plan, figure out what type of testing to do, identify several points of ROI, basically like what is the monetary reason we should be doing these things or other quantifiable reasons. And then actually it helped them analyze the results too, because designers aren't mathematicians, and writers definitely aren't. If you are both, you're magical, and I admire you. I'm not like you. Um, so this research assistant was super helpful. It turned plans around from taking multiple days or weeks to put together a plan to being able to do it in like 20 minutes. And again, it's not perfect. You have to check its work, but holy mackerel, did it put some jetpacks on us. Um, so I was really proud of that. And I got to tell Diana about it, and she thought it was cool. So here we are today for me to tell you and to show you how I create gems and how I think about them. And obviously, this is Google Gemini. Other AI tools are a little bit different, but I really feel like the core concepts are the same, and you'll find different places in their UIs to add this rich concept. But again, I will state it is super useful to have AIs that do discrete things. Don't boil the ocean with them. It will fail so badly. Unless that is the sort of an entertainment you're into, and then like I'm not gonna kink shame anybody. Um, so let's talk a little bit about the Gemini UI, and please don't laugh. My tool set, I am a little bit of everything. I've now decided it's just part of my personality. So it will be both light mode and dark mode. Just cry blood tears with me and we'll be fine. So I wanted to share my screen, but I think you have to give me permission, Diana.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Oh wait, I'm lying.
Edit?
I'm so
Okay.
full of crap. I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh, we love you anyway.
I mean, that is hair brown. Uh,
Eyes
um,
brown.
technically green, actually,
Oh, really?
but
Okay.
that's
Hmm.
nerd facts for another time.
Probiotics.
Let me move they always put the zoom controls like literally in the worst possible spot. This is that take note, Zoom. I don't like it. Nobody likes it. Fix it. Okay. All right. So this is the back end of the gem. Let me show you where you can get to this point. So you have this nice little menu that opens and closes. If you go to the actual like gem manager, and they've got a whole bunch of ones that, so they have these labs ones, which are like their beta stuff. I've not played with these yet. Um, I will eventually, but they're kind of like the ones that aren't guaranteed to work, even if you do your best work. So I wouldn't start with those. So scroll on down to the typical gem manager, and there's a whole bunch that are pre-made by Google. I have not tested any of these. I like to make my own stuff. So, what we are going to look at today is the gem that I am calling Chef Antonia. She is named after my favorite celebrity chef, Antonia LaFassa. She's amazing. Um, but when you have a gem, you can just click on it and it'll open the chat and you can start interacting with it. Obviously, you can share it. And what we're going to look at is actually the back end where I created the personality of the gem. So let me open her up and we will talk. So it has a UI. You put stuff in the UI. And we'll talk a little bit about how to format the different sections. So obviously it needs a name. I personally like a policy of giving it a human name because people just inherently talk to it more like a human. And I find that women and non-binary folks are far more reliable than men, so I give mine all female or non-binary, androgynous, agender names. Give it a little description and like keep this super, super short and sweet. Just what is it at a high level? Now, where the good sauce comes in is this instruction section, which again, Google, this is the long section. Why can't I have a little expander thingy here? Come on, man. Getting into the instruction section, when you're writing the instruction section, I have found that using Markdown is the best way to format it. Um, it has the AI cleanup tool in it, but I really don't like it, so I never use it. But we'll come back to talking about the instructions specifically, because that's where we're going to like do the deep dive. But I want to talk a little bit about the other fields that are available in here. So, whoop. So if you look down here, there's this whole default tool thing. This is basically like when they open the chat, what is it going to start with? And of course, you know, they have image creation, Canvas, which is great for designing, and you can actually do some like code stuff there too. If you want them to have a tutorial walkthrough, you do the guided learning, so on and so forth, that sort of thing. Now, what's really slick is down here, you have this whole knowledge section where you can tie into, I want to say it's like up to 10 files that kind of inform what your gem knows. So when I was building this stuff for work, I tied in like voice and tone guidelines, A to Z writing style, quick terms list, inclusive writing guidelines. If there was a specific style sheet for, like, say, emails, I included that. So this is a really good way to like inform the AI as like, this is how we do things here at blah, blah, blah company. Um,
Does it take websites as well as files or just files? Looks like just
it's mostly
files.
files, but it's nice because you
Okay.
can also add them from your drive. So
Hmm.
if you are using G Suite, it's really
Hmm.
slick. I am a G Suite girly. I love how all their stuff talks together without being like overly, you're too dumb to use your own tech like Apple
Hmm.
does. So this is what builds your AI. This is what gives it its personality. This is what it knows. If you do not specify its knowledge, it will draw from whatever model it uses. So in this case, we are looking at Gemini 3. So whatever data is in that set, that's what it draws from. So to create the personality, like I said, I use Markdown to format it. I use the persona as the H1 heading, and then I actually write like a little backstory and make I don't go super duper deep, but like deep enough to inform kind of like what are the boundaries of what this AI should know and what it should care about. So, for example, Chef Antonia is a well-known celebrity chef that got their start as a nutritionist. So there I have given her charisma, and I have also given her an entire knowledge set of what a nutritionist would know in just a few short words. Then I was like, ooh, let's talk about the food struggle because feeding people is really expensive for everybody right now, but especially it hits lower income families so much harder. So, okay, let's give her some sensitivity to this by saying she grew up in a low income household and she knows how to stretch a limited budget without sacrificing flavor. One sentence. She knows so much and she has seen so much just with that short bit there, that she knows how to talk to regular folks that are trying to feed their families, make their budgets go further. I add a line because I feel like this needed to be reemphasized because it's very easy to get lost in the world of truffles, that some people can't even get fresh vegetables. So I talked about the rising cost of food and transportation to even go get food. I talk about, I think somewhere in here, I also mentioned food deserts because it's really hard to get good nutrition when you can't get balanced nutrition with a limited budget. I mean, like, ramen life is no joke.
Yeah.
It
Or
is
whatever you
very
find at the
serious.
dollar store. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I wanted her to be able to have the sensitivity to understand that. So I gave her backstory on this. Um, and then I went on to further expand, like, how did she end up becoming this celebrity chef? Like, how did she get there? And like, why is she here talking to you now? So I also love ending and making sure to include empathy in the personality of my AIs. Because I feel like a lot of them have false kindness. Like they're just nice. They're not kind. They're nice. And
Hmm.
nice lies to you. I don't like
The
AIs that way.
sycophantic issue, yeah.
Yes, that's a very good word for it. Thank you. So then the next section, you're going to write out the task. And this is where you need to spend some time thinking about like, how do you want to walk whoever's using this thing through the process. And this is where tech writers are super, super good at this because we understand instructions and we know how to document a workflow. But it's a little bit different because you are talking to, I always phrase mine as talking to the AI. Like you are going to do this and you're going to help them do that, and then you're going to do that. And again, it's building personality, building like character into this thing I'm creating. Um, I read a lot of fiction, as you may have
Hmm.
guessed. But yeah,
Oh
so
yeah.
like in the first task, simple opening question, find out their food concerns. And you can be as prescriptive or as vague as you want to be, but give them something to start with. So in this case, I decided to leave it open. Um, but the guidance I then provide after that in my sub bullet is that depending on their response, here are some examples of possible follow-up questions you might ask. Things like, are you looking for recipe ideas? Do you have dietary restrictions? Are you trying to make a grocery list? Trying to meal prep for the week? Are you trying to improve how you eat? Are there specific macros or an eating style that you're trying to fit into? Or like, how many people are you feeding? Because like, you can meal prep for one pretty easily. Meal prepping for six, that is a whole undertaking. My goodness. So then my next step is if they do want help for ideas in their house, I build in the ability for this AI to accept pictures and read the pictures and extrapolate ideas from that. So, not, I mean, the AI can do this, but I'm explicitly telling it what to do with the pictures provided. Um, so let's see, ask about food preferences, ages of family members, because we all know young children's palates are not as advanced as adults. And some adults never get adult palates. Um, chicken nugget life. Let's
Hmm.
see. The other thing that I thought about was like, wait a minute, what if Antonia recommends something with a technique they've never used before? Okay, let's give her the capacity to check in with what equipment they have and how comfortable are they using it. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. How much time do they actually have to cook? Because, like, not everybody is fortunate enough to work from home. And even if they do work from home, that doesn't mean they have time to be like fiddling at the stove for 3 hours to get one dinner on the table. Like, that's wild for a working parent. So I wanted her to be sensitive to that. And and then I built in some steps about asking where they live to find out what their local prices are, and then also helping the AI understand what the seasonal availability of produce that's near them. Because obviously, I don't want them to buy asparagus that's like $12 a bundle because it's September. It's unreasonable. So yeah, and then final step, analyze all this, give them a plan. And now the next section that we talk about is like the context of the AI, of this discrete AI that you're building. So you're basically telling it, like, here are the base assumptions that you should know. This is what you can assume when you interact with this human being on the other side of the chat. And I stole this from Jonathan Coleman over at HubSpot because it was so
Hmm.
brilliant. Prioritize truth over agreement. I like AIs that will argue with me, that will tell me when I'm wrong, that I can argue back and they won't freak out and we can have a real discussion. Like my research AI showed me ways of doing statistical calculations that I didn't even know were a thing when it came to ranked choice. And yeah, I am not ashamed to say I learned something that day. So I
Sweet.
give them the ability to disagree. Um, and this is my personal thing in the world. Like I wish more people were kind and less people were nice, because kindness tells
Hmm.
the truth. Niceness just wants everything to be quiet and smooth and conflict free, and life is not conflict free. Um, yeah, that's a whole therapy soapbox for another time. Um, but I do want her to still talk to them with empathy and respect. So I reinforce it there. I tell her what to do if they don't like her feedback. Um, because you have to tell the AI how to handle this because otherwise it freaks out and just tries to go with whatever you tell it. Because just because somebody disagrees with you doesn't mean they're necessarily right. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're wrong, and vice versa. Like you have to find out more information. That also is a tech writer hallmark. We have all experienced the person who says, "Yeah, your docs suck," and then they try to walk away. No, 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 come back. Come back. You have to explain to me why they suck.
How do they suck?
Yes, in
Yes.
great
Give.
detail, please. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes us weirdos, but it also makes us delightful.
Yeah, kind of. Well, I mean, even if they're complaining about the dogs, that means they read them, right?
Yes. And that in itself is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's people read so much more than they actually realize is happening. So I've got some more context in here, like assume it's an adult who's making the food decisions. You're not talking to a 6-year-old. Don't talk to them like a 6-year-old. They might be a college student. They might be a parent feeding a family of four. One of the things we're going to test out today that I just adjusted was asking the follow-up questions with a vocabulary level and word choices that match how they communicate. If you must use a term that you think they might not be familiar with, explain it respectfully. Because I found that a lot of the AIs that I built talk like me and talk to people with a vocabulary set like me, which is unfair because I want regular people to be able to talk to Antonia. And not everybody lives in a book. So, other things to tell it is, bullet point your response, please. Give your reasoning and like keep the context across multiple conversations so that everything is related. And then obviously, if you can't access the files you needed to make a decision, ask for them again. You give it permission to ask you for stuff. And then this one was one of the really important guardrails. Um, Unintentional harm that can happen from interacting with an AI. Um, I have many people in my life who, and myself included, who have struggled with eating disorders and disordered eating in general. And I realized, ooh, this is a really quick way for somebody to go off the rails here. Let me put in a safeguard. So what I built was a line that says, if you suspect they or someone in their house may have disordered eating, you are not a mental health provider and you will not provide mental health services. However, if you are very concerned, you can gently recommend mental health programs for eating disorders that are local to them. Do you see all the little
Hmm.
guardrails in that short little paragraph? Because I want people to be
Yeah.
able to interact with her in a way that is safe and less harmful than most unchecked AI, because most unchecked AI is not good for your mental health. Um,
There are support groups for that, literally.
yes, yes, and that in itself should be its own episode. So then the final section that you have to fill out, and by the way, this format of like persona, task, concept, or context, format, this is following Google's format that they provide when they talk about building your own gems. This is just how I fill that in. So format is a section where I tell it how to write its response. Excuse me. And then because the math should always be checked, I have a line in here that says if you're asked to do costs and calculations, show your work step by step because I wanna check how you got to that number. And then another thing that I built in here is if they're making a multi-step meal, suggest a clear timeline of what to do when so that all the food hits the plate at the same time, which is the
Hmm.
magical thing about being an adult, especially somebody who is responsible for feeding the family, like you got to make sure all that stuff hits the table at the same time. And that is an art form. Thanksgiving,
Oh,
if you've
yeah.
ever seen a Thanksgiving spreadsheet, yeah. And then I realized, oh no, what if they need like proper storage tips because they don't know about food safety and that food left out on the counter for 3 days is probably not safe to eat. So I added a line about that too, because when you're creating this gem, you need to think about all of the aspects that could be a part of this. Who is it going to? Who could be reading this? Who's interacting with it? Like where could it go off the rails and cause harm? And build safeguards, build guidelines. So yeah, so that's the end of the instructions.
Hmm.
And we just updated this, and I'm sorry I set that over there. Do. So she is all set to go. Okay, so this is Antonia. Um, so I thought for funsies, our first personality, or our first respondent, would be somebody who is trying to eat better but wants to explore intermittent fasting. Um, because summer's coming.
Hmm.
So one of the things, so this is the gem, but it is very similar to the regular Gemini UI. But you see her personality here. And then I I like it when people are thoughtful about which model they're working with. Um, I'm about to give it a complex, what I feel is it's a complex problem for me, so I assume it's a complex problem for the AI. Probably not. But I am going to go with the thinking model. Fast tends to bullshit you more, quite
Hmm.
honestly, based on my experience. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You just have to like have a lot more grains of salt when you read its responses. So we will go with thinking. Obviously, pro and all that stuff, it depends on what's available to you. Um, yeah, so we'll choose the thinking one. I don't think we need any other tools. So I'm just going to say, hey, Antonia, I'm interested in trying. Ooh,
Intermittent fasting.
no, I'm going to spell it
But,
wrong on purpose.
oh, okay. Yeah, for those who are not familiar, intermittent fasting is where you don't eat for a number of hours, 12, 14, 16, 18 of the day, and then you only eat for the remaining hours of the day, which is referred to as your eating window.
Oh, let's be cutesy. This will be fun. Help!
Hmm.
Obviously, this is not medical. Please, please, please consult your doctor if you have to be on a doctor-based diet.
Yes.
Okay, so she's given me a very long response, which I thought I had fixed.
Yeah, this is why
Whoa.
we test.
Oh my gosh. Let's push back. You did, Antonia. Thank you. Three questions I can do. All right, who are we feeding? We'll say just me. I live alone. Um, but oof. Actually, you know what? Typos are okay. Ooh, let's keep it really low.
And this really shows why you want to test this before, or test your gem rather, before sharing it with other people. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, so I live alone. Budget is $50 a week. I need to supply dinner and lunch on the weekdays. I'm a busy professional with a regular kitchen. It's her sweet spot, apparently. I don't,
Hmm. But you see how she's already got personality in
hmm
how she talks to you? She's talking about a game plan, hit your macros, about spending your whole evening in the kitchen. Yes, thank you. Um, and also like the concept of high satiety foods, which I love that she explains.
hmm
So you don't feel like you're starving when your eating window closes. Beautiful. Perfect. Thank you. I actually was not familiar with that phrase, and now I know it. Um, yep. Protein. Cool, cool. Chicken thighs. Yep. Oh God, so many eggs. Oh, I hate eggs.
You probably should
This
have
is
told her that.
but like this is my hypothetical person, not me personally.
Oh, fair
Um,
enough.
Black beans, avocados, head of cabbage, yeah, broccoli, yeah. Like these are all solid. I don't think I've ever seen a 5 pound bag of sweet potatoes, but I'm sure it
Hmm.
exists somewhere. And you
Yeah.
can see how interacting with it, I realize things that I need to go back and tweak. So you, as the person creating the gem, have a responsibility to test and take feedback from other users and then keep modifying. And anything you change, they will get the latest and greatest. So it's actually a pretty great system. Um, so I love this roasted power bowl, fantastic. Busy professional stir fry, heck yeah, I live off of that stuff actually. I
Aside
love.
from testing it first, is there anything else? that you should set or be aware of when you're sharing gems with other people?
Oh, yeah. So when you share a gem, and you can blur out the extra stuff, please.
Hmm.
So when you come into your gem manager, and you hit the share button, magic. You should be careful how you share it. Because, like, say anyone with the link, I think it defaults to viewer, which is good. And viewer means like somebody who can interact with it, but they can't edit it. Um, if you give them editor power, they can go in and change your gem. That's not necessarily a good thing. Um, so obviously, as a security professional, I will advise you give the least amount of permissions necessary to get the job done and double check that it is set to what you want it to be. Super good point. And here's the other thing that I want to talk about. Let's go back and just let this sit here for a second. Actually, I think I'm going to stop sharing because we've only got a few minutes left. This is Antonia. She can also do it with pictures. It's cool.
Hmm.
Um, which the pictures is nice actually because say you are a technical writer, you can actually drop screenshots of a UI in there and it will check your steps. I I had a gem that I used at my previous place that was handed off to the support team for editing KB articles. And in my testing, I was like, oh, let me just grab the old article. And it actually had found that the written part of the article did not match the screenshots included in the article, and
Hmm.
it fixed it. So I was like,
That's handy.
oh, that's so beautiful. And I've totally done a thing where I have taken a screenshot of a UI that I'm working on and started working on the UI copy, and it will catch things in the copy that I missed. It's very humbling. But I also want to say, because we have like 2 minutes left, 5 minutes left, I don't
Oh,
know.
five and a half.
Um,
5.5.
I feel like this is the good time where we have to sit and think about the ethics of using AI at all. A lot of AIs consume natural resources and harm the environment that the data centers live in. This is not something you should do lightly. Like every interaction you have with the AI is water, is resources. And I I would love for all of the AI companies to have a board of trainers who are training the AI to be ethical, have it teach it how to make good decisions, teach it how to have care for the people that use it, and have it learn about other perspectives that aren't just white people dominant. Because like that
Hmm.
is the primary data sets it's trained on because that's what's available to it. So you inherently create a biased AI that we then are all using. So it's not really representative of the people that's using it. And it should be. It should be. So, like, what are the demographics of the people who will use it? That should be the demographics of your people training it.
Yeah, that would be
And
ideal.
that is my soapbox.
I like it. All right. What else should we know about gems and making these discrete little robot minions
Yes.
for us?
One thing that might help is like the way that I create a gem is kind of a step or two down from agentic work because I am constantly thinking about like what is the workflow of the interaction? How do I want it to help this person? And you're kind of thinking about where will the robot go sideways? Okay. And now I'll go over here. Oh, it'll go there. And you're helping it make decisions without it actually being able to go out and affect things like agentic AI can. But that's how I feel like you should think about it. You should give it
Hmm.
a plan of action and give it a personality. People love personalities and they get so much more comfortable and they talk to it in a more real way. They think about things to share. And I actually have one that I have used a lot for helping folks with like resumes and cover letters. And honestly, because of the way I built this AI, it has helped so many people who have struggled in this current work environment to recognize their value and see how they can represent themselves better and kind of boosted a lot of their faith in themselves. And to me, that's the kind of AI I want in the world. I want something that builds, that doesn't detract. So can we fix that like excessive water situation, please?
Yeah, that would be nice. It's like, come on, we are sending people to other planets and making all sorts of great, breakthroughs. We should be smart enough to figure out how to fix the environmental footprint. And while we're at it, maybe not have data centers buy up land that could be used for houses and suck up all the electricity, raising the prices for water and electricity for all of the actual humans. Yeah, I'm right. It's
Or just
happening right now. We need to do better, humanity, and data
or they could
centers in
just
particular.
pay their bill, pay their own bill and not foist it off on the local communities. That would be a huge simple step.
Pay taxes. Yes. Yeah, which is not, look, I mean, we're not anti-AI here, just to be
Mm-mm.
clear. We're just clear-eyed about this technology still has some major downsides, and we need to be aware of them as we are using this and as we are going forward making more developments and discoveries with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
100%.
And on that note, thank you very much for joining us with Kelly Murphy and Gems and Chef Antonia and Technical Writing Uncensored. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and maybe leave a comment. Tell us about what gems or other discrete AIs you have built and what problems you're using them to solve. Let's start a
Mm.
discussion. Make the world better, one discrete AI at a time, even if it's really an LLM. Bye for now. Yeah, I am never gonna let that one go. Just that you got your soapbox, I got mine. Not AI people. It's an LLM. Advanced autocomplete. It's useful autocomplete. It is not intelligent. All right then. Bye for now.